Peace world, what's good? It's Wyking live, Africatown Media Studios here at the Black Dot Underground, here for another episode. And we have a very special guest in the house today, as we usually do about this time. We have a Central District native, entrepreneur, developer, and Black economic empowerment evangelist, you know what I mean? None other than very own K. Cole of Quality Development.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
For sure. For some that may know you, may be connected online, we see you, give a lot of information around, Black economic entrepreneurship, and then a lot of just inspiration by what you're doing yourself as a Black woman developer. You're building, so thank you for letting people see what you do,
No problem.
Instead of just showing up and announcing and handing out a card, we can actually see you're on the set, you're pouring the foundation, you're framing, you're regulating, you're making runs to Home Depot. We see all of that, and it makes it seem attainable. So, how can you tell us a little about yourself, and how did you get to this place?
Well, thank you. Like I said, I appreciate being here and bringing some estrogen in here.
I hear we need the balance.
Definitely. So I've been doing this about 6 years as far as the development. I actually got into the construction field when I was 19. So I worked at a construction company, and I was actually the only Black person there. And I ran the office. And so, working with men, it was really cool. It was really laid back. And so I was trying to find my way, what am I going to do? I was 19. I was doing massage on the side, and, I was just trying to figure out where life was taking me. And I ended up, getting laid off from there. Then I ended up becoming a escrow assistant. Okay. So I was doing that, on the back end, the paperwork, kind of seeing the loan docs, putting the packets together, getting an understanding of it from that aspect. And it was a lot of work, and it wasn't really that much pay. And so my father, he had owned his own business since he was 20. He owned his own home since he was 19. So it was in me to, own and to have real estate. It was just a matter of finding my way. My dad always told me, you need to have land or property because, God's not making any more land. And that's how most people have acquired wealth, was through real estate. Right. And so really I got into this through my father. Mm-hmm. He had bought a piece of land, and he owns a business, so he has a lot of trucks. And so he was looking for some land that he could park his trucks and, run his business from. And so long story short, I ended up finding out that we could subdivide the land. And so my dad had asked me, he's like, hey, I want you to help me. I wasn't really sure how I was going to help him or even what he meant by that. I honestly thought it was going to be more from an administrative point. And so I ended up being fully hands-on. I mean, from the groundbreaking to the subdividing, the getting the subdivision done, breaking ground, underground utilities, foundations, you name it. And it was really on the job. I didn't have any schooling. It was just a matter of
on the job training.
Yeah, on the job training. And that's how my dad is. He's like, if you want something, you got to go after it. Right. It doesn't matter, where you've come from, but as long as you put in the effort, you can do anything. And so it was really from that moment, doing that while I worked the job, leaving there, going to meet contractors, taking calls. It was hectic, but it was a challenge. And that's what drew me to it, was that it was different. I was learning new things, meeting new people. And so from there, I took it more serious, because honestly, I wasn't really taking it serious. At first, I didn't really know what I had in front of me.
Right.
And so looking back now, I'm like, wow, I'm thankful that I didn't fumble that, because how often do you get the opportunity to develop,
Right.
let alone
No.
build
Yeah.
in the city that you're from and without any experience? So it was really my father who, entrusted me and was like, hey, I want your help. What can we do? So I would go down to City Hall, ask questions, sit in on meetings, YouTube, just really taking advantage of the free resources.
Right.
And then I started seeing that there were like different courses, and then I started getting online and seeing that, there was a guy with Jay Morrison that was doing something similar. And so I would watch his YouTube videos and just try to educate myself as much as possible.
Well, I just want to point out one thing. What you're sharing dispels the myth that Black people can't work together.
Right.
And business and family don't mix, right? I mean, I know
It
sometimes,
was tough, but
sometimes but I mean, I think this is a positive example of where it does work. I mean,
Correct.
I think, with anybody, business can get,
exactly.
get rough. But when we're talking about intergenerational wealth and things of that nature,
Yep.
I mean, I think this is an example. Like, it sounds like you are taking further what your father has established. We look at like
Correct.
the Nordstrom's family, like each generation built on the previous generation.
Yep.
So that's
and
a great
that
example.
was really my goal. Like my father, he lit the torch and then he passed it. And so I was like, hey, it's up to me to keep it lit or let it die out. And so, I had to find my lane. Like, do I want to do development? Do I want to be a real estate agent? Do I want to build houses? I had so many different people coming at me like, you should do this, you should do that. And so I really had to look within myself to see what it is exactly that I want to do. And I'm glad that I chose this side of it, because you get to see so many different layers, like within your community, within systems, what you can do, why people haven't been able to do it. It's just taught me a lot, like personally and professionally, and also showed me like I literally can do anything,
Yeah, and we'd like to definitely get into some of those details as we go further as well. So to this point, like how many, what kind of development, because development is, you got single family, you got high rise, mixed family. So what do you specialize in, and what projects have been successful for you?
I specialize in new construction, residential. My first project actually was a 6-house development, which is like crazy.
Is that like townhouses?
Yeah, I did six townhouses.
Okay.
And so from that project, it opened up my eyes to see like there is a lot of opportunity that can come with this. So I did 6 townhomes, and then now I'm working on, it's considered a single family, but it's a home with an ADU on it, which is the technical term for mother-in-law.
Accessory dwelling unit.
Yep. Yep. I had to learn all those acronyms. But yeah, so I specialize in new construction. We also do demolition, and I'm maneuvering into major remodels. Okay. Because of the length that the city of Seattle takes with permitting, it's crazy. So it's like you have to do something, in between to keep busy and to keep money coming in. So yeah, new construction, residential. So
just to be specific, your company, like, let the people know the name of the company, and so you're a contractor and a developer.
Yes. So I am
like two.
Yeah, a developer, licensed general contractor, Quality Development LLC. And it's crazy because so I started out developing and I didn't even really understand that. I was like, oh, I'm project managing, which I did that too. I mean, I develop, project manage. I've done it all. So I've done development, project management, general contracting, you name it. And
so I was just highlighting that, not only are you a developer, but you're also a general contractor, which is, a set of services that are available to people as well, right?
Correct. Yes, I am a developer and a licensed general contractor.
And there's not a lot of black women in either one of those spaces.
Correct.
And you're in both spaces.
Yes.
All right. We just want to put that on the record so y'all know. So you're a Seattle native.
Yes.
So
born and raised.
Born and raised. What part?
CD.
Okay, all right. We just want to put that on the record too. You know, we do it first. You know, and we just want to put that on the record.
But I went to Franklin, though.
The change. I mean, we could give you a pass, you know, but, you know, yeah, first woman on the show and maybe the first Quaker, too, you know.
Hey.
The change, you know, we've been talking a lot about, you know, some of the statistics. I mean, people know them, but when they put the bar graphs there and it's just so
right.
vivid, there was the income gap showing, you know, 105,000 white family, median black family, 42 in right. Seattle. And then there's another one that shows the population from 80% black to less than 20. You know, I know this is something that you talk about a lot. What are your, you know, perspectives on, you know, the causes and then really the way out, you know, where do we go from here?
Well, we know, you know, redlining is still a thing. I definitely feel like the war on drugs, which really was the war on black men, played a huge part, you know, into where we're at today.
And for people that may not make that connection, how does that translate into displacement and lack of participation in the economics?
You know, it's really deep. I don't know a black family that hasn't had, you know, someone that was either on drugs, sold drugs, died from drugs, still there. And it's deep within our community because a lot of people weren't being raised, you know, they were being neglected, or the elders were raising them and they died and they were, you know, left to fend for themselves. You know, elders died and people got, you know, their homes that weren't in the right mindset. They, you know, had mental illness, and so they may have sold off the home. You know, kids raising themselves, growing up to be adults and not really knowing what to do, not really being educated. The community, you know, not really doing the things that they could have done to educate. I feel like really the biggest issue is education. Okay. And then, you know, the drugs tearing up our families, which, you know, has been generational. So it's really deep. It's very deep. Definitely. And we don't really talk about those things or even address them. It's just, you know, surface like, okay, well, that happened. Get over it. You know, do this. And it's like you can't really move forward if you never address the wound, you know, if you continue to put a Band-Aid.
We need to hit. There needs to be some period of hope. I mean, even from being snatched from Africa, going through slavery, we never got a chance to really you know.
And you can't even talk about it because it's like you're told to get over it, or you weren't really affected because you weren't there. But I mean, PTSD is real, you know, I mean, it's deep. And so I feel like that is a huge issue that needs to be addressed before we can even move forward.
And speaking, you know, to that, you know, you're a developer, so it's like developers is like
you don't hear them talk about that
are winning right now, I guess, right? So you know, so I've heard people. I read an article where one family in the city, I mean, they've done well with their real estate, you know. So you know, how would you say, you know, so some people may look like, well, you did the right thing, you guys are on track, you're winning, but how has the community change, you know, maybe affected you on different levels, you know, or has it, you know?
I mean, it's deeper than me. So I may be winning individually, but as a community, we're not. So then how can you really say you're winning, you know? And being from here and seeing what has happened, there's a lot of people that aren't winning. So it's what can I do to help change that? You know, that's honestly why I got into this. And then I also started showing what I'm doing online so that people can see that, you know, someone from Seattle, born and raised, you know, is making her way in real estate. It hasn't been easy. I didn't do it by myself, but I had the support, and then I had the know-how and the ability to want to go out and get it.
Right, the grit.
Exactly. So I feel like the community, we still have a lot of work to do. And if I'm one of the only doing it, then that proves that, I'm not necessarily winning because I'm alone,
Right. That's a good perspective. When you say we have a lot of work to do, what do you think, what do we need to do first? Like, how do we order this? I mean, it's like so much, but they do
it's
say
so many layers. I definitely feel like it goes back to education. And what does that look like? First, coming together, as a people and understanding that we have an issue. And then where do we go from there? I know me personally, I read a lot more now, whether it's books, I listen to podcasts, to really educate myself on the things that I can do. And so I share that. But as a community, I feel like we need to get out of our comfort zone, and do things that we're not comfortable doing or that we haven't done yet. I could have continued doing the same thing, working a job and just getting by, but I wanted to, break that up and get uncomfortable. And so definitely educating ourselves, whether it's reading more books, even if it's on economics, if it's on finance, if it's on business, listening to podcasts. Like, I don't even really watch TV, because every moment that I have, I'm trying to learn something, whether it's, how to get to the 0% tax bracket, or, how to find another way to raise capital, or, there's so much to learn.
So can you give us some of those, if you had 3 books, to recommend for the community, maybe 3 that have really impacted you or helped you and how you're moving, what would those be?
I know Rich Dad Poor Dad was like a really good book, just like it's basic, but I feel like everyone who's interested in business and investing should read it because it's like entry level, but it'll open your mind to start thinking differently. I just got a book, The Power of Zero, that I'm reading now, and it's just talking about different tax laws and loopholes that we don't know about that are available to the wealthy. And
legal, right?
Legal, yes,
okay.
yes,
So
all legal, yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to pay less and make more, and that's what the wealthy are doing. And so I feel like we shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. What's done has been done. It's finding who has been successful, and then how can we mimic that, but add our own twist to it.
So, yeah, go ahead. No, so I was going to just throw in on that point, some people say if we, strive to be just like them, or, then, that black capitalism is not necessarily the answer to our problems,
I mean, I wouldn't say strive to be like them, but you can take things that have worked for them and
study
them. Yes, because I don't want to be like anyone else, but I would like to learn what you've learned so that I can experience that. Also, I really don't feel like we should be in the U.S. if we're not trying to make money. I mean, that's what it's been built on.
It was a marketplace.
So, exactly.
From day one.
We built this joint for free.
We're part of it, right?
Yeah. And so if they're not going to give us our reparations, then we need to go out and get what is there and available for us. Because if not, then we're going to just continue to be left behind. I mean, the numbers are there.
That's a fact.
And so instead of complaining, or, finding reasons not to do things, we need to be doing them.
We need to do everything we can.
Everything.
With
because
what we have.
There's 9 billion people in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's lots of people. There's lots of money to be made. There's land that hasn't been developed. There's resources. And I know everybody's goal isn't money, but to be here, you need it. You can't do anything. Exactly. You can't do anything in the U.S. So you definitely have to get out of your comfort zone and seek knowledge and educate yourself, because we've been duped. Yeah. Like, everything we've been told
So for us, we have, with Africatown, strive to, really take those principles that you're saying, with, Marcus Garvey and, Malcolm X and, everyone that's been a part of this struggle have and like bring it into a community development model.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on, what are your thoughts on that? Maybe the Liberty Bank bill, like these different things that's going on, where should we, some people say, oh, we should just forget about it. The CD's gone. I don't know where we're going to move and not have the same thing happen, but.
Right. Yeah, that it's, it's tricky because I've thought about that as well, doing what I do. Like, is it lost? Is it too late? Should we try to get Skyway? Like, what is it? And I don't necessarily believe I have the answer.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to do the work.
Right.
So, whatever that looks like, whether it's, community building, whether it's, creating a fund and raising money or going to other folks with money. But I know that it needs to be community based. I know that nobody has ever made it by themselves. And so it starts with us. I feel like Africatown is a great platform, and people, if they have ideas or things that they can add to the table to make things better, then, I'm here for it. Like I have a group of friends that don't even live here, and, we're creating businesses, like we're partnering to try to change things in our communities because we can't sit around and wait for anybody to do it.
No one's going to save us. And one of the things I just say is that, it's not one or the other. Right. Like, and I'm going to keep saying this, that, the whole Chinese and Vietnamese community doesn't live in Chinatown, International District, Little Saigon, but it's still like their cultural and economic hub in the area.
Right.
And wherever we go, if we don't develop a community development model, we're probably going to have the same circumstances, right? And so part of the work is not just about preserve and save the CD, but we have a lot of social capital here. It's going to be, 20, 30, 40 years before parks and institutions are named for Black people in other places where we're being, kind of displaced to. So, part of it is just like putting our, getting back to that, Imhotep and Benjamin Banneker when we were designing and building, communities where we've been disconnected from that opportunity and just getting where we fit in this country, based on the circumstances.
Right.
But, I just feel that we need to take we need to take responsibility for planning the spaces that we're going to be in.
Exactly. Because we can't change what has happened, but we definitely can have an impact on what's to come, and what the future looks like. And then, figuring out what is our goal. Is it to have a community? Is it to own land? Have businesses? We definitely need more businesses.
But clarity, vision. What's your vision first, right? Like there's that saying, where there's no vision, the people perish.
Right. What do you want from this?
There was no vision passed to my generation. We might be in the same generation. I'm not sure. No. But, okay. But we're perishing. And someone else has a vision for our community, the space that we occupied or populated. And now that vision is happening.
Right.
And if we don't have a plan, like you're saying, we can't change what's happened. But if we're not planning for the future, we can guarantee someone else is planning for it.
And that's what we have to do, because I'm not really seeing a lot of planning happening, for what's to come in the next 20, 30 years. And so I know, like, my vision, from where I want my company to be, like, I would love to have an all-woman staff, like, so...
Queens of construction and development, huh?
There is none of that.
I did read it. There's a couple. There's a sister, not just here, but that just got an airport project on the East Coast. A Black woman's led construction company.
Yeah, I seen that, and that's huge. That is very huge, because there's hoops that you got to jump through to get those contracts and get on that level. So that's awesome. When I seen that, I was researching and trying to figure out, where and how they were able to do it, because it's attainable, but it's going to take work, and you can't do it by yourself.
Someone who's very experienced in community planning, he's, they did a project, elder by the name of Gus Newport, and he was talking about what they did in Boston in the Dudley Street neighborhood. And what they found is that the women were the best planners because they were doing everything. Right. They knew how long it took to do this. They knew what the inconveniences were because they were actually the ones responsible for making certain things happen. So
right. And we pay attention to detail too. Like I've noticed even doing what I do, when I do have the pleasure of working with a woman, and just the attention that she takes, the questions that they ask, it's been completely different from working with men. So I definitely feel like even us as women, Black women especially, knowing and owning our power and our place in the community.
For sure.
Going back to Africa, like we were running things, and so just understanding like who we are as people and walking in that and owning that is a huge start, to change in your mindset, to not just complain, and to actually be a doer, take action,
embrace your power.
Right.
Because I think when you just continue to complain, you're actually giving away your power.
Exactly. And I had to even work on that. It's like saying what I meaning what I say, speaking things into my life and manifesting things. Like our minds are so powerful. And just think if everybody collectively, was thinking the same things for our community to move us forward, how much more change could happen.
Definitely. That's powerful. What we want to get into something just quickly. Our time is coming to a close for today, but inspiration, like what are, you gave us some books. You spoke about podcasts. What are some of the podcasts, that maybe, or blogs that you may follow that give you good insight you would recommend?
Well, one of my favorite podcasts is the Millionaire Mindset podcast. You can find it on like iTunes or Spotify. And that's actually a couple of my friends down in California. But I love it because every episode is talking about Black empowerment, wealth creation, business, finance, and it's from the Black perspective. And it's majority millennials, that are changing the narrative, That is one of my favorites. Also, the Todd Millionaire podcast, the same thing, is Black empowerment. Everything that I listen to.
Which one is that?
Todd Millionaire.
Todd Millionaire?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, that, the Millionaire Mindset podcast, and then Earn Your Leisure is a really good podcast. It talks about a lot of business and entrepreneurship, finance. That's really what I engulf myself in, is business, finance, entrepreneurship.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's making dollars for you.
Yes.
Okay. Who are some of your real-time models, inspirations, like people that, that you look to and you see where they're at, and that's, that's a place that you would like to move towards?
Well, a woman, Pam Brown, I definitely follow her. She has built a 51 home development. And so just seeing that, sparked something in me. Like, there's really no levels. You know what I'm saying? The only limits we have are the ones that we place on ourselves. And so her, like, watching her, she's an older Black woman and she's killing it.
Is she local?
No, she's not. She's in Arkansas, okay. I believe. But she's killing it. I don't really have any local folks to look to. I would love some. I did actually meet a young woman down in Tacoma who's about to start her first development, and so we're going to be linking up. And
is there any like Black developers group right now that
not that I'm aware of? Okay. I know two. My guy Jebediah, in the commercial industry, and so I try to stay connected with him. I'm like, I don't think I know any
There's another
more.
one. This is just a legacy person, but down in L.A., there was this sister. The name is not coming to my mind right now, but she was developing back in the day, like major whole communities. So you might want to look her up.
Yeah,
well,
I definitely will, because
if I can
I'm
find
always looking for women.
All right. So for people that want to follow you, get connected with you, how can they get in touch?
Well, you can find me. I'm on Instagram, QualityDevelopmentLLC. That's my business page, and so I post a lot on there. My website is QualityDevelopment.biz, B-I-Z. I'm also on Twitter, Too Beautiful, and so I'm just, here for the people to encourage and inspire.
Thank you. This has been great. Obviously an inspiration, but
Appreciate it.
Education, the information that you've given, I think is valuable to people. And then to see you doing it, it makes it real, not just theory. So that brings our time to a close. We definitely probably want to have you come back and
I'll be back.
Talk about what's happening and what's going on and what we need to be doing. But that brings us to the close. This was a great episode once again. K. Cole, Quality Development. And as we always say, tap in, don't tap out. Peace.
Peace.